fam, so we're back at it. Today I will be discussing how communication is established. Let's do a real quick recap. In my first post, I talked a lot about how infatuation starts and how infatuation leads into a possible connection, which can lead into a true relationship. I want to talk today about communication, how it's established in the early stages of relationship, and also how it can eventually lead to disconnect if we don't know how to appropriately use our communication skills. So one of the things I have learned in working with my clients, even in my own relationships, is what we say usually isn't what we're thinking. Like, we think one thing and we think we're communicating it the way it came across in our mind. But usually it doesn't come across that way based on tone, nonverbals, and we'll get into all of that a little later. When I talk about establishing communication for an effective connection between two people, we're talking about, is your communication affirming? What is affirming? Does it make you feel supported? Does it make you feel seen, visible? Does it make you feel liked? And does it make you feel pursued? Women love to feel pursued. And I think we have gotten to this place in relationships and in how we manage our relationships where we think we want to treat people the way we want to be treated. But the true art of communicating is learning who you're communicating with and how to land that communication with that person to make a connection. Let's first look at like nonverbals. When you're talking to somebody you care about, are you making eye contact? Like, is that eye contact solid? Are you actually listening, or are you listening to respond? Active listening is very important because listening is what makes a person feel seen, heard, experienced. And so how does my listening align with what I'm trying to communicate? When you think about a relationship with a friend, non-intimate, you're listening, you're bouncing off of each other, you're laughing, you're joking, you're reminding each other of your kinks and things, of your strengths and your weaknesses, but you're doing it all through a very affirming way. Affirming is also mirroring. So when I'm sitting and I'm talking to you, am I nodding? Am I saying, yeah, I remember that? Am I giving the person who I'm speaking to the understanding that I am listening and receiving what they're saying? And also, do I agree with it? Like, a lot of times too, relationships start to get in a problematic or conflicting way because we have differences of opinion, we don't agree, and we don't know how to disagree amicably. So when you talk about an affirming relationship or an affirming level of communication, I always like to go back to, is your communication with yourself affirming? So if you're a negative person in nature, always saying negative things to yourself, always thinking negative things about the world and about yourself, are you projecting that in the relationship? Or are you more affirming of others than yourself, which kind of speaks a self-esteem issue, which we will also discuss a little later on. But I cannot stress, when we talk about effective communication, you can Google it anywhere and see there are 3 communication styles: passive, aggressive, assertive. Passive is low tone of voice, a little bit of being insecure, maybe not listening as well. Your body language shows that you're not 100% in the conversation, and you could possibly be dominated. Like the other person has a little bit more power, or you feel a sense of insecurity or invisibility with the other person. Aggressive, we already know, that's in your face, telling somebody off, bad body language. Nonverbals are probably very conflicting and seemingly a little bit harsh or abrasive. And then there is, of course, assertive. And assertive communication is body language is showing that you're open. Body language is also showing that I want to hear what you have to say, and I'm going to make sure that you hear what I say, but not in a argumentative way. It's like we're going to have a good exchange. Now, how does affirming impact assertiveness? It means both of us are going to leave the conversation feeling empowered. Both of us are going to leave the conversation feeling heard. That is very important. Many times in relationships, intimate relationships, one person or sometimes both have the feeling of, you're not hearing me. And that's where we get in trouble. That's when it spirals out. And that's a lot of times when we start to go from infatuation to disconnect. I want to really make a concerted effort for you all to understand that connection is key to longevity. As long as you're connected to something, you're more accepting, you're more responsive, you're more loving, you're more understanding. And so I want you all to understand, how am I affirming myself? And how do I affirm others? How do my nonverbals, the things that I'm not saying, speak when I am not verbally speaking? 65% of our communication comes from nonverbals. What am I saying that I'm not saying? Am I rolling my eyes? Do I suck my teeth? Do I shrug my shoulders? Do I turn my back when my partner's talking to me, rather than being very much present and close in proximity to them when they're speaking? Am I a touchy person? Do I touch this person? Do I need to be touched? Have I communicated that I need a pat on the back or stroking of my backside, or whatever it is you like that makes you feel endeared to that person? Like, do you rub on me? Do you touch me? Do you show affection to me? All of those things are forms of affirming and having affirmation in relationships. So remember, what is the most important thing when we start talking about communicating is, how do I build connection? And connection comes through having affirming language. We've talked about how the infatuation stage begins, how communication is established. In my next post, I want to talk about how we start to destroy effective communication. So I hope that you got something from this video. I am enjoying sharing this content and this information with you. If you have any questions, if you have any topics you want me to discuss, please comment below. Please subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you soon. Love you. Bye.